On a cold January morning in 1947, the quiet streets of Los Angeles hid a secret that would shock the city and the world. A young woman's lifeless body was discovered in a vacant lot, arranged in a way that sent chills down the spines of anyone who saw it. The city buzzed with whispers, questions, and speculation, but answers were nowhere to be found. Who was she? Why did this happen? And more importantly, who could commit such an act and vanish without a trace? This was the beginning of one of the most infamous mysteries in American history, a case that would haunt investigators, journalists, and curious minds for decades. Known only to the public by a nickname that hinted at both elegance and enigma, her story would capture imaginations far beyond the streets of Los Angeles. On the crisp morning of January 15, 1947, just after the first light of dawn, a local passerby was making their usual route through the quiet streets of Los Angeles when they stumbled upon a shocking sight in a vacant lot at the corner of South Norton Avenue and West 39th Street. There, lying unnaturally still on the cold ground, was the body of a young woman. At first glance, it seemed impossible to comprehend, but as the passerby approached, the horrifying reality became clear. The woman had been mutilated in a manner so precise and chilling that it left no one who saw it untouched by a sense of dread. Her body had been cut cleanly in half at the waist and arranged with a meticulous attention to detail that spoke of both planning and intent. Investigators who arrived at the scene later that morning were met with an unsettling absence of blood. There were no obvious signs of a struggle, no trail leading to the lot, suggesting that the young woman had been killed somewhere else and her body deliberately transported to this vacant lot to be discovered. The eerie precision and cold calculation involved in placing the body raised immediate questions. Who could commit such an act? And why choose this location? By mid-morning, news of the discovery had begun to spread throughout the neighborhood, drawing both law enforcement and curious onlookers. The atmosphere was tense, a mix of shock and morbid fascination, as the city realized it was confronting a crime of unprecedented brutality and mystery. Throughout the day, detectives carefully documented every detail of the scene, taking photographs, measuring distances, and noting the arrangement of the body and surrounding environment. By late afternoon, it was evident that this was not the work of an impulsive act of violence. It was the product of someone with knowledge, precision, and a disturbing level of control. Each observation only deepened the mystery, leaving both the investigators and the growing public audience with more questions than answers about the young woman whose life had been so violently and inexplicably cut short. After the shocking discovery of her body, investigators and the public alike turned their attention to understanding who Elizabeth Short was. Born in 1924 in Boston, Massachusetts, Elizabeth grew up in a working-class family and experienced a childhood marked by frequent moves and instability. By her late teens, she had already shown a strong desire to create a different life for herself, dreaming of a career far beyond her modest beginnings. In 1943, at the age of 19, Elizabeth moved to Los Angeles with hopes of breaking into the world of acting. She led a transient lifestyle, frequently moving between boarding houses, small apartments, and short-term rentals, often struggling to make ends meet while attending auditions and seeking opportunities in the bustling Hollywood scene. Despite the challenges, she remained ambitious and determined, driven by a vision of fame and success. Her striking appearance, dark hair, pale skin, and expressive features combined with her penchant for wearing elegant black clothing and maintaining a mysterious, almost enigmatic presence, caught the attention of those around her. By 1946, even before her death, local acquaintances and journalists had begun referring her by the nickname Black Dahlia, a name that evoked both sophistication and intrigue. Elizabeth was known to be charismatic, social, and confident, qualities that made her memorable to friends and strangers alike, and contributed to the lasting fascination with her life and untimely death. Her story, though tragically cut short, paints a vivid picture of a young woman striving for her dreams in the glamorous yet unforgiving world of 1940s Hollywood, leaving behind only fragments of her life for investigators and the public to piece together. With Elizabeth Short's identity slowly becoming clear, the Los Angeles Police Department immediately launched one of the most intensive investigations in the city's history. From the moment the body was discovered on January 15, 1947, detectives worked around the clock, examining the crime scene, collecting evidence, and attempting to reconstruct the final hours of Elizabeth's life. The sheer brutality and meticulous nature of the crime made the investigation particularly challenging, leaving officers baffled and frustrated at every turn. Within days, the case captured the attention of the entire nation. By late January, police reported receiving over 150 letters and messages from individuals claiming responsibility for the murder. Some offered gruesome confessions, others included cryptic threats or demands for publicity. Yet, upon careful examination, none of these claims proved credible, and most were dismissed as hoaxes or attempts to insert themselves into the growing media frenzy. Simultaneously, detectives spent countless hours interviewing friends, acquaintances, and anyone who had seen Elizabeth in the days leading up to her death. They traced her movements from the moment she left Boston, through her early years in Los Angeles, and up to the weeks before the murder. Every lead was pursued, from small boarding houses to Hollywood auditions, as investigators sought to piece together a timeline that could reveal both motive and opportunity. By mid-February, despite tireless efforts, the case remained shrouded in mystery, with no solid suspects and a growing sense of urgency and public pressure weighing on the lapped. The combination of an unusually calculated crime, a flood of false confessions, and limited concrete evidence turned the investigation into a complex puzzle that would challenge law enforcement for decades to come, leaving Elizabeth Short's final hours an enduring enigma. As news of Elizabeth Short's murder spread throughout Los Angeles in mid-January 1947, the city's newspapers quickly recognized the story as shocking potential. Headlines screamed from every stand, capturing readers' attention with a mix of horror and intrigue. Reporters detailed the gruesome discovery, the unusual precision of the crime, and the young woman's mysterious life in Hollywood, transforming a local tragedy into a story of national fascination. By late January, the nickname Black Dahlia had begun appearing in print, coined both for Elizabeth as preference for elegant dark clothing and for the enigmatic aura she carried. The moniker struck a chord with the public, symbolizing a combination of sophistication, glamour, and the dark, untimely nature of her death. Articles described her as a young woman pursuing the bright lights of Hollywood, yet caught in a grim fate that contrasted sharply with the dreams she chased. As the weeks passed, the case grew into a national obsession. By February 1947, newspapers across the country carried updates, interviews, and speculative reports, while radio broadcasts recounted the chilling details to a captivated audience. The story highlighted the dark side of Hollywood dreams, revealing how ambition, allure, and tragedy could intersect in unexpected and terrifying ways. More than just a local crime, Elizabeth Short's murder became a symbol of the public's enduring fascination with unsolved mysteries, a case that blurred the line between reality and the sensational narratives crafted by the media. The intense coverage not only kept the investigation in the public eye, but also added immense pressure on law enforcement, as every tip, rumor, and letter flooded the lapped, complicating efforts to find the truth behind the life and death of the Black Dahlia. As the investigation into Elizabeth Short's death deepened in early 1947, law enforcement explored every possible lead, scrutinizing a wide range of suspects. Friends, acquaintances, former lovers, and even professionals in the medical field were questioned, each examined for potential motives and opportunity. The scope of the investigation reflected both the complexity of the crime and the pressure to identify the person responsible for such a meticulously planned act. Among the most discussed suspects was Dr. George Hoddle, a wealthy Los Angeles physician. Over the years, suspicions around Hoddle grew, particularly after his son, Steve Hoddle, a former lab detective, publicly claimed that his father had both the knowledge and skill to commit the murder. Investigators noted that Dr. Hoddle's medical expertise could explain the precise mutilation of Elizabeth's body, and he was linked to the areas where she had lived and socialized. Yet despite these compelling observations, no concrete evidence emerged that could lead to charges during his lifetime. Other theories quickly gained traction. Some suggested connections to organized crime, given Los Angeles' underworld presence in the 1940s, while others speculate about the involvement of a sadistic individual or even a serial killer operating in the area. Each theory reflected the public's struggle to make sense of the crime as cold calculation, and the numerous false confessions only added layers of confusion to the already difficult case. By late 1947, after months of exhaustive interviews, tip evaluations, and cross-referencing with other crimes, the investigation still had no definitive suspect. No one was ever formally charged, and the case officially remained unsolved, cementing the Black Dahlia murder as one of the most enduring mysteries in American history, a story that continues to captivate and haunt both investigators and the public decades later. Decades after the shocking events of January 1947, the story of Elizabeth Short, The Black Dahlia continued to capture the public imagination, leaving an indelible mark on American true crime history. Beginning in the late 1940s and 1950s, newspapers and magazines chronicled not only the original investigation, but also the sensational theories that emerged, fueling a fascination that would only grow over time. By the 1970s, the case had inspired its first wave of books and investigative works, as authors sought to piece together Elizabeth's life and the mystery surrounding her death. Filmmakers and documentarians soon followed, bringing her story to new audiences and solidifying the Black Dahlia's place as a cultural icon of unsolved crime. Her story came to symbolize the dark side of Hollywood ambition, the allure of fame, and the vulnerability of those chasing dreams in a city known for both glamour and danger. From the bright promise of acting roles to the grim reality of her untimely death, Elizabeth's life and murder illustrated how ambition and tragedy could intersect in ways that left lasting scars on both families and communities. Even as the decades rolled on, interest in the case never waned. By the 1990s and 2000s, amateur investigators, true crime enthusiasts, and professional sleuths alike revisited the evidence, examining photographs, letters, and reports with fresh eyes and modern forensic techniques. Each new theory and investigation reminded the world that the Black Dahlia murder, though rooted in the past, continued to spark curiosity and hope for answers. Her legacy endures not only as a cautionary tale of ambition and vulnerability, but also as a symbol of the enduring mystery of unsolved murders, a case that still challenges investigators and fascinates the public more than 70 years later. As we look back on the tragic story of Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia, it is clear that her life and mysterious death continue to captivate generations. From the chilling discovery on that cold morning in January 1947 to the countless theories, suspects, and investigations that followed, her story remains one of the most haunting unsolved cases in American history. Even now, decades later, the Black Dahlia continues to inspire curiosity, reflection, and a deep fascination with the shadows that lurk behind the glamour of Hollywood. Every detail, every clue, and every unanswered question reminds us of the fragility of life and the enduring power of a mystery that refuses to fade. If you found this story compelling and want to explore more unsolved mysteries and fascinating true crime cases, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Join us as we uncover the stories behind history's most intriguing and chilling events, one mystery at a time.